Howdy, 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 folks. What's going on? Welcome to the 4Nerds Network. It is a special episode here today. We are here remembering the legendary, great Kevin Conroy. As you all know, I am Philip Barker, unfiltered, as you can all tell right there. Just go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter, Vero, Instagram, and you can listen to my podcast, The Eternal Night. Just posted a new episode today, where me and my co-host Craig just talk about all things we are thankful for in regards to Batman. Now, we might have some guests showing up, but we might not. I'm not really sure. It's a busy Saturday. We'll see. I know Dawson's going to be on his way here pretty soon, but he'll be a little bit. I did send the link out to a couple other people, but yeah. Was just kind of get right into it, right? I mean, Kevin Conroy, what a legend, what a persona, what a presence. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, we talked about this yesterday on Anthony's stream, the ACS universe, right? But I don't know. This process is just so much to take in. He was such a legendary actor and whatnot, and now it's just really unfortunate all the way around. Let's see who we got here in the chat. Let's see, we got Stephen Grant Rogers. May Kevin Conroy rest in peace. May God bless his soul. I agree completely. And we also got Nerd Cosa Nostra up in the house. What's up, G? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. Hope you're doing all right. Hope everything's going okay for you this Saturday. But yeah, we're here to remember Kevin Conroy. And if you guys have anything in the chat you want to add about Kevin Conroy, I'll happily pull it up and talk about it. But when I got the news yesterday, I was kind of prepping for a job interview, and it was like 2 hours before my phone interview, and it just, man, that news really knocked me on my ass like something vicious. It was just, it kind of ruined my day. Like, it really did kind of put a damper on my entire day, and I was just, I don't know. I was really bummed out the rest of yesterday after that, and even then, it made my interview just a little more difficult, but it's really unfortunate, just all around, absolutely unfortunate in regards to what happened. Pretty safe to say, fuck cancer. Cancer's horrendous, awful, terrible. I don't wish it on anybody, even my worst enemy. That is just, hell incarnate. I've lost a few people in my family to cancer. Just, man, no bueno. But Kevin Conroy has been Batman. He was the voice of Batman for as long as I've been on this planet. 30 years not to the day, because I was born in 92, and Batman the Animated Series debuted in September of 92. So the show's just been in my purview since, I could walk, and it's as far as I know, like, that was one of the first voices that I attributed Batman to, was his voice, if not him and Adam West. Definitely. We got Christopher Bouchard here. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. Hey, Shri, it was brutally honest, like ugly cry brutal. Yeah. In some cases, there was some ugly crying going on. I'm right there with you, 100%. That's right. Fuck cancer. 11 years old and bought Batman Mask of the Phantasm, first VHS. Still holds a special place with me. I remember the first time I actually got Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I was about 5 or 6. I rented it from a video store, and I rented it from a video store because at the time I did not own any Batman VHSs except a fair few of the animated series. But at the time, I rented Batman Forever because I didn't own the movie. But they didn't have it because someone else was renting it at that same time, so I had to get Mask of the Phantasm. Unfortunately, the only reason I got Mask of the Phantasm, regardless, like, I wanted Batman Forever. I couldn't get Batman Forever, so I got Mask of the Phantasm, and that's what I watched instead. And it's a really good movie. I would probably say it's without question the best movie, the best Batman movie probably ever made. I think that's a sentiment echoed among a lot of people in our circles, definitely. He's the voice when I read anything Batman. Don't think that'll ever change. I don't think that's going to change for anyone, like, ever at all. I mean, he is without question the definitive voice of Batman. Like, there's really no other way around that. Like, he is Batman. Like, when you read a comic book, and it's, when you read a Batman comic or you read a Batman graphic novel, hell, even sometimes if you read a novelization, it's kind of hard not to visualize or even internalize hearing Kevin Conroy's voice. I mean, whenever I pick up a comic book, it's without question, more often than not, it's Kevin Conroy's voice I hear. You know, like it's just so ingrained into my fandom as a Batman fan, as a DC fan. More often than not, anytime I read Batman or anything, I see Batman in an adjacent book, like when he pops up in cameos and say a Superman book, or he's got a part in a Justice League book, like it's just so not it's so not easy to just not read that in Kevin Conroy's voice. I mean, he was, again, you know, if there is a bar for Batman voices, he's the bar. That's just it. Like, the bar has been raised, he's the bar. That's it. I don't know that anyone coming into the voice is ever going to be able to surpass that. I don't know. I mean, there have been great actors who've taken on the role in many different forms. Like, you know, Bruce Greenwood had it for a little while, and Peter Weller was in The Dark Knight Returns. Jensen Ackles more recently. Jason O'Mara did it for the new DCAU, the new DC animated movie continuity. That was good too. I think even Ben McKenzie did the voice of Batman for Batman Year One. You know, there have been solid voice actors taking on Batman, but again, you know, I don't think any of them are ever going to touch what Kevin Conroy did, like, ever. That's not to say they haven't tried or they haven't done their own thing, which is absolutely what they should do. But, you know, again, Kevin Conroy is the GOAT. He was the GOAT for many reasons. And, you know, some of my favorite episodes, I would probably say, just some of his line delivery, like we were talking yesterday, you know, Feet of Clay, part 1 and 2. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? I would also say Joker's Wild, Christmas with the Joker especially. That's another favorite of mine. I used to watch that episode on repeat all the time. But, you know, or even like when he was in the Justice League show, and there was an episode where he's like stopping, like, not necessarily in Justice League, but like a group of supervillains, and Clayface says something to the effect of, "Oh, I bet you wish you brought your friends," and Kevin Conroy's Batman goes, "Oh, wish I thought of that." And then like a door breaks down, it's the rest of Justice League behind him. He goes, "Oh wait, I did." Just perfect line delivery more often than not, and he knew how to make everything feel authentic. He knew how to differentiate between being Bruce Wayne and being Batman, and he knew just how to I don't know. Words are hard. Maybe my co-host here can help me out with some more words. Dawson Weidrich, how's it going?
Going well, man. I just got home from a long day of work, college football broadcasting.
Yeah.
So that was
using your voice.
Yeah, used my voice quite a bit. It was a long game. We had a player that had a compound fracture on the field. So yeah, it ended up being a long game. So yeah, good to be here though. Good to be here to talk about some Batman and legendary Kevin Conroy. So
he will be missed. You know, I think I dipped a little while into the. Oh wait, no, that was the Thursday stream that I took off. But yesterday we stayed on until the end. So yeah, how do you feel? You know, you kind of came on a little bit later in Anthony's stream, but how did you feel when you found out about the news?
It was obviously, like, you know, the animated series was most people's introduction nowadays to Batman for a lot of people. Especially those who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. That was a way that they got introduced to the character, got introduced to the lore. And, you know, it's like, for me, I see a lot of people that get really down about celebrities that pass away. And like I'm a religious person, so I have a different perspective on death than maybe some other people might have it, to where, like, I know that these people that pass away are in a better place. And so it, like, emotionally, like, I didn't feel like devastated. I just knew, like, yeah, he's in a better place. But obviously he'll be missed, like his talent, the way he brought the character to life, the way that he just understood, of course not at first necessarily, but after a while he understood the dichotomy that is Batman and Bruce Wayne, and how to really bring that out in a vocal performance. And just for a lot of people, he was a constant in the content they watched. You know, his voice is everywhere. Most different Batman featuring animated shows, like Batman, then of course Batman Beyond, then Justice League Unlimited, then Justice League, DC animated films. So much of that featured Kevin Conroy, to where you were just used to hearing his voice, and you were just used to hearing his great talent at work. So it was surprising, very surprising, because again, 66, that's young, and very few people knew about his situation. I imagine it's very similar to kind of like the whole Chadwick Boseman thing. Few people knew what was going on, and then the news just kind of hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, holy cow, I had no idea this was even a possibility of happening. So it was crazy, man. It was a crazy way to find out.
Yeah. And Christopher brings up a good point here. He voiced Merman in the new Motu Netflix series, the Master Universe Revelation. Yeah. And he also voiced a couple different times. He voiced, I know he voiced Batman, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh in Batman Brave and the Bold. I want to say that he was the voice of Dick Grayson's dad in The Batman, because the Batman was voiced by Reno Romano, and then when they decided to bring in Robin, John Grayson, I believe, was voiced by Kevin Conroy, and then Zuko, I believe, was actually voiced by Mark Hamill.
Zuko, what do you mean, like in
Tony
Avatar?
Zuko? Tony Zuko is the one who killed Dick Grayson's parents.
Oh, Tony Zuko. I thought you were talking like Avatar: Last Airbender. Like, no, he was Fire Lord Ozai.
No, I'm talking about Tony Zuko. Yeah,
I got you. I was totally different genre there for a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, not only, like you said, not only was he Batman, he was just very involved in like the DC animated world and just DC in general. People wanted to work with him, and that's the sign of someone who has, really built their career as someone that's easy to work with and just does a great job. And what more can you really say, honestly, about like how well he worked with these people? I mean, it's the same thing with like Zack Snyder or any other like creator that works with them. Is like, yeah, I had nothing but respect for what they were doing, and the same thing with him, man.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find the voice list for that episode, and it's just bringing me to Arkham Knight. I don't know, because the Arkham Knight thing is the same exact title as the episode A Matter of Family.
Yeah,
super weird, but.
And speaking of like, you talk about on Anthony's show yesterday how not only did he do animated stuff like series, TV shows, he did video games too. Like, I think most Batman video games featured his voice to some degree at some point in time. Like, he was just all over the place, constantly working and making a name for himself.
Yeah, he started off at Juilliard. He learned alongside Christopher Reeves and Robin Williams. Wow, I almost said John Williams there for a second.
Yeah.
No, Robin Williams and Christopher Reeves. And, it's really unfortunate that now all three of them are in a better place, because, they were really talented at what they did. Christopher Reeve being the iconic Superman that he was, Robin Williams being the acclaimed comedian that he was, right?
Yeah.
But now we're just, and of course, Kevin Conroy getting his tenure on as Batman over so many different projects. But yeah, he voiced John Grayson in that episode, Matter of Family. It's actually the season 4 kickoff. It's the first episode. And
Sean here says 20 different video games since 1994. 20.
Yeah.
Goodness. That's insane.
I don't even know where to begin. Like, I remember the first time I think I heard him in a video game was probably Batman Vengeance. I don't know if you ever played that one.
I remember hearing about it. I don't think I ever got the chance to play it though.
It was essentially it was more or less tied into the animated series, but it was the 4th season of the animated series, the new Batman Adventures.
Yeah.
And it's you could see some cues that Rocksteady might have taken from that game in certain regards to how they did certain things, but it was really blocky. It wasn't a great game, but it wasn't outright terrible. But, it had Kevin Conroy voicing Batman, and it was great.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think a lot of the voice cast came back for that.
Yeah, which obviously from a legendary show like that to come back for that's pretty crazy. Sean here says also performed on Broadway back in 1981 and 1989. Not many would know that. Yeah, I mean,
he was a Broadway actor, yes.
Obviously the main thing people think about when they think of Kevin Conroy is Batman for obvious reasons, but
right.
The fact that you have such an expansive career like that is like, that's every actor's dream. You act in all different layers of the acting world, and then you get attached to one character that's super popular, and and people just know you as that character for the rest of your life. Like, that's literally every actor's dream, honestly.
I mean, according to IMDb, he's going to be in the Cape Crusader, but only as Thomas Wayne.
Interesting.
So, if that's the case, does that mean that they have somebody else voicing Batman?
I mean, I think I remember when I read the report, I can't remember exactly what it said, but I remember reading the report that they hadn't like stated who was Batman yet, or they didn't say that it was Kevin Conroy. I think that was more of just something that people just inferred based on the fact that it's a lot of the same team, a lot of the same minds behind it, and very similar animation style from what we could tell.
Right.
So I mean, if he's Thomas Wayne, I mean, obviously he's probably just gonna be the very beginning of the series, and that's obviously if we also are not getting like a full season of him as Batman, I'd assume. But if we just get that one small little moment, that'll be really touching, you know, to hear his voice one last time in a Batman project, whether it be a big role or small. And what's up, Tim? This is on your left. How's it going, man?
So chronologically, it's like it's funny. Like chronologically, looking at his IMDb, they have Mask of the Phantasm first, but if you go up, it says Batman the Animated Series 1992 to 1995. So it looks like they're going off of when it ended, whatever that production was, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it has Mask of the Phantasm listed first before the animated series, but that's only because of different
technicalities.
Dates. Right,
yeah.
Technicalities. Right.
Yeah.
So
no, a lot of yesterday I spent when I was like working in my office, just working on my comic or just sketches and such. I had the animated series playing in the background. I think the episode that I was listening to at this point was the introduction of Batgirl. The episodes
Shadow of the Bat, I believe, is what they are.
Yeah, it was the episodes where the police commissioner was, or not the police commissioner, but one of the guys in the police force was corrupt and was working with Two-Face, and they pinned some evidence on Jim Gordon, and so Barbara dressed up as Batgirl to try to clear his name and to try to figure out what's going on, and uncovers the corruption. And I think I'm about like when I last paused, I was like halfway, or no, more than halfway through that episode. But it's crazy how many episodes of Batman there are in this thing. Honestly, I'm in episode 62 of season 1 since I started my rewatch, off and on, of course, not like super consistently, but it's crazy just how much work was put into, you know, making that Batman come to life.
Yeah, you know, Craig and I, we've been doing episodic reviews of Batman the Animated Series after each episode of The Eternal Night. I think we're up to, we just passed Fear of Victor. I think the next one we have to do is I've Got a Batman in My Basement. I think that's the next one we have.
Oh yeah, that's one of my lesser favorite ones.
I mean, you could probably look at all the episodes of Batman the Animated Series and see which ones were more popular and which ones were arguably better than others, right? I mean, you know, I've Got a Batman in My Basement is kind of one that gets talked about because of the fact it's not really like up there in terms of quality, in terms of storytelling, whatever, because it's literally just a bunch of kids who have to take care of Batman in their basement majority of the episode until Penguin gets him.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the Underdwellers, the Sewer King. That's another forgettable one. The ironic part is like that one, the only reason I even remember that episode in particular was I was reading Tom King's Batman Catwoman run, and he not only used the Phantasm for that, he uses the Sewer King too in the first issue, I think. Yeah,
I mean, Tom King did a great job of you know, using all those different elements from the series. I think I saw you commenting on a post of his about it. How he definitely used so many elements of that animated series in his work, which is very much appreciated. Very much appreciated.
You know, I've seen a lot of people share clips of like the Grey Ghost episode, Beware the Grey Ghost, and it's like, that episode's going to hit a lot differently now. Heart of Ice is probably without question one of the best up there, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that and the episode with Mad Hatter are the ones that stick out to a lot of people.
Mad as a Hatter,
yeah. Where Bruce wakes up in a world where his parents are alive, and the whole psychological elements behind that, and Bruce's trauma coming to the surface. Like, it hits all the points of the character for me.
I was saying, like, one of my favorite episodes is without question, you know, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? That's a good one, because like Scott was talking about how this show didn't really necessarily hold your hand through its storytelling. Like it kind of not necessarily didn't expect you to know what they were talking about, but it didn't exactly not.
Right.
It was written by adults for adults and kids, but it played on a kids network. So that episode in particular, like a lot of the riddles in that episode are very like if you weren't of a certain age, they probably go over your head, or certain elements of those riddles like there's at one point when they're going through the maze and Robin and Batman have to deduce like the number of keys, or they have to look up and see which signs are written in what, and they happen to be written in Arabic.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know what Arabic was when I was watching this at like 7-8 years old. I was like, it's Arabic. Then, you know, it was kind of a learning experience for the younger crowd.
Yeah, and I love it when shows in general just don't hold back, and they don't expect to like handhold you, and you just kind of, it's like an episode that increases in value with upon rewatch, and you learn more and you get more educated and you learn to appreciate it more and more. And again, because it forces you to think things through, you know, it makes you as a consumer think about just all the different elements about the episode and deduce things for yourself. I just like that sort of stuff involves you as a viewer in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Or like episodes like Robin's Reckoning, where it's kind of like a, not necessarily a challenge, but you're invited to try and understand what it means to have a sense of like frustration, anger. How do you deal with things from your past, and how, if you're presented with an opportunity to potentially rectify it, well, where are you going to rectify it? Are you going to choose the same path that was done unto you, or are you going to do something different with it? And I think, you know, just that whole dynamic of going back and forth between the past and watching Bruce take in Dick as a kid, and, you know, kind of reliving the trauma that he did, and then having it flash forward with Robin being so angry at Batman and being like, you know, you knew he was here and you didn't even want me on this case. And Bruce the entire time is just like, because I didn't want you to freak out the way that you're freaking out right now. Like the chemistry between Lauren Lester and Kevin Conroy is without question like that. If you're looking for a blueprint of how to do Batman and Robin, specifically Dick Grayson.
Yeah, exactly. And Dennis Medina points out something that's interesting. Says one of the episodes was inspired by the 1930s classic gangster Angels with Dirty Faces. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in the show that are inspired by more like noir, sort of mafia stuff. Like there was an episode about Scarface that I just recently watched, where it has like some like jazz playing in it, like those noir gangster movies tended to have. And one thing my little brother and I constantly talk about, what's up, Jason, is the fact that Batman the Animated Series for a lot of people made it to where Gotham was basically perpetually stuck in the 40s, just because the vibe, the vehicle design, the way the world is built. I mean, there's the episode with Scarecrow where he's trying to sway the bets of like different sports and stuff by making people terrified, and it shows the football scene where they're basically in 1940s football padding. And so whenever you look at Gotham, you kind of are transported back in time. It makes it to where it's a timeless place. Right. It's corrupted and filthy, but it's a timeless place, which is really fascinating.
Wait, speaking of timeless, look who's joined the chat. Holy shit.
Timeless. Hey. Timeless. Okay.
This timeless gentleman right here.
How take you doing, that as you will.
How should I take that?
I mean, coming from me and Phil, it could mean either way.
I mean, I'm not. I know I'm not. Like, it's not like I'm super old. That's William.
No,
William's just old. I mean, that's not really had throughout all time. I don't know.
Even though you're wise, you're perpetually youthful. That's my.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I was like when I tell people my age and they're like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's good. William tells them their age and they're like, "Seriously?"
Oh man,
I'm gonna pin you for much older. I'm just not. I love William.
Oh, what's up, Sri? Sri, apologize. Don't apologize, Sri. Don't apologize. We know.
It's been a while, Enosh. How are you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I am really great. Yeah, man. It's been a cool week. Just I'm staying busy and stuff, but did a lot of streaming the last 3 days actually. So was on a couple shows last night, and yeah,
I actually
back in the swing of things.
This morning, I actually on my news feed on YouTube, I came across the video of all of us at Flint, Michigan. And I rewatched that. It was like
Oh,
it was crazy. It just came up and I just watched. I was like, oh man, that was a really fun time.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
So
It was a great time. Yeah, I mean, yesterday was obviously yesterday was a crazy day. Yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of my grandma passing, and so that like hit me. Like I just kind of gotten up and just kind of got about my day, and I got to school, and I'm sitting there and I'm helping some kids, and all of a sudden my phone kind of vibrated, and I just looked down, and like there it was, like, kind of staring at me. I was like, oh man. And then just in a little while after that, Kevin Conroy, and it's like, dang it, man. Like, just, yeah. But the day ended good, so that's
yeah,
it's all good.
that's all I can ask for, honestly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that's good.
We're just talking about some of our favorite moments from Kevin Conroy's tenure as Batman, specifically Batman the Animated Series. I mean, there's so many great moments.
Phil, how old are you?
I'm 30 on the dot.
You're 30 on the dot. Okay, so
I'm literally as old as Kevin Conroy was as Batman. Like the time he spent playing Batman is how old I am.
Okay, so neither of you guys were really old enough to actually watch Batman when it first came out.
Not when it first came out, no.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That was such a great fall. Let me tell you. Batman the movie had been out, for over a year now, and Batmania was like at its, or was it 2 years? What year did it come out? It came out in
1992.
92. So it was actually about 3 years. It seemed everything though between like 1989 and about 1994 all is kind of like squished together. But yeah, no, it hadn't felt that long. Well, it would have been right after it'd have been right around the time Batman Returns then.
It came out after Batman Returns.
It came after Batman Returns. Yeah, that's right. So I remember being super hyped for it, because I tell you what, man, people still try to downplay, Michael Keaton's Batman, and I don't know why, because Michael Keaton's Batman was a phenomenon unlike we've ever seen. I mean, there's fans of other Batman. There's fans of the Dark Knight trilogy, and people love the Dark Knight trilogy, and for a lot of people but that even still doesn't even come close to like, yes, I know it's been a long time. It's been too long. But yeah, no, it's been, that was literally like, people put the word phenomenon like on a lot of stuff, that they really liked or that's hyped.
Yeah.
But that movie in '89, it wasn't just the movie, man. It was literally what they called it, Batmania. Batman was on everything. Elfman's Batman theme was it was on fire. It was just stuck in everybody's head. I mean, Batman t-shirts, Batman toys, Batman, underwear, Batman, everything, shoes, hats.
Yeah.
People were peddling it. I mean, it was almost like your favorite team won the Super Bowl or the basketball championship, where you find these little pop-up stands, you find these little pop-up stands that sell merch, or whatever.
Yeah.
And especially for us during that time, it was interesting because, Detroit, the Detroit Pistons had won back-to-back championships in '88 and '89, right? Mm-hmm. So it was funny because we were used to seeing these little peddlers pop up selling, Detroit Pistons stuff, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, man, up just on street corners, all of a sudden, Batman merchandise everywhere. I mean, the money that had to have been made on knockoff stuff is just ridiculous, and so it was just everywhere, TV, everything. I mean, it was one of the first. In fact, I think it was the first VHS movie I ever bought, my own money, and I would have been 13 when that came. I saved my own money at $20. I pre-ordered it down at the little party store that was down at the corner that did video rentals and stuff, and went and paid for it with my own money. And so when that cartoon came out, it was funny because I think we didn't have cable TV at the time, and the cartoon came out on a channel that was a UHF station, right? Mm-hmm. So channel 66, it was the channel that afternoon cartoons were on, right? And so I think my grandma had just dropped our cable for a while or something like that, and so I would go down to my friend Wayne's house, who lived like 3 houses down from us. And I remember watching it when it first came out, and it was like, it wasn't like watching any other cartoon. I'd been a huge G.I. Joe fan, a huge, Transformers fan, huge Thundercats, all that stuff. But that Batman cartoon was unlike anything that we had ever seen before. It was very cinematic in its tone. It was very adult. It didn't try to be cutesy at all. You know, it treated kids watching it like we were adults, you know, like you can handle this, you know. And I just, man, from the opening, like when you first heard, you know, that Elfman theme, you know, it wasn't really connected to the movies, but yet that theme.
I mean, the main idea was supposed to be like sort of a continuation of Keaton's Batman, though, right? I mean,
well, you know, they kind of hyped it up that way at first, but it never really was that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the characters had their own. They all had new backgrounds. They all had new introductions, origins, and all that stuff. And so I mean, I think that in the spirit of the fact that we had never seen that kind of Batman in animation up to that point. I mean, because we had Super Friends, right? Well, I mean, there had been in the 70s, there was a Batman and Robin cartoon. And actually, that Batman and Robin cartoon looked really great, especially for back then. But the tone was kind of, you know, was lighthearted still because it was coming off of
Adam West, yeah.
Adam West, you know, and so it wasn't quite as cutesy as Adam West, but it still wasn't the Dark Knight, you know, kind of thing. And then it kind of progressed a little bit, but then in the early 80s, the continuation of the Super Friends went to Superpowers. When they went to Superpowers and introduced Darkseid in animation. That was the first time I had ever heard of Darkseid or Desaad or any of them was in the Superpowers collection. And they did a cartoon for that. And when they did the cartoon for that, the guy who had done the Batman voice, which was really kind of up here and, you know, up in this upper register, not really a you know, dark, you know, sinister kind of thing. They changed it back to Adam West. And it was strange because it wasn't Adam West Batman. It was just Adam West voicing a different kind of Batman. Have you ever watched the Superpowers cartoons?
I have not, no.
You got HBO Max. Dude, go back and watch. Dude, there's actually one, like, especially the Superpowers ones. If you watch Superpowers, those are the more adult ones. Although I will say, dude, there are episodes of Super Friends that are really great. I mean, there's evil Superman episodes. There's, I mean, you know, and you, I think if you go back and watch it, you understand where like a lot of people got their education. I know we kind of look back a lot, and you know, people kind of downplay and they go, oh yeah, we don't want the Super Friends thing. And yeah, there were those, you know, moments where Superman was always, you know, kind of this, but there were some great stories, man, really great stories, and some adaptations sometimes of comic book stories that were taken for that. But no, so it was Adam West voicing Batman, and Casey Kasem did the voice of Robin.
That's right. Yeah,
and you know, and that was when they actually, I remember there was an episode of the Superpowers show that I think it might have been called Crime Alley, where Batman is like going, because the Scarecrow, it was because that show was darker anyways, because Darkseid was the main, you know, villain. And, you know, they went from having like an episodic thing where, or not episodic, but just kind of like random stuff, you know, that would happen every week. Nothing really followed a timeline. To they didn't really follow a timeline, but it was very much like a focus, unlike the regular Super Friends show, because Darkseid was always trying to take over. There was a whole episode where he was always going after Wonder Woman. He wanted Wonder Woman to be his bride, and so like he captured her. He was going to force her to be his bride. So there was like a lot of weird stuff. But I think it was called Crime Alley, and Batman was having some serious fear issues to that whole episode because the Scarecrow was the villain of that.
Is that the episode that everybody like does a weird dub over where it's Scarecrow's running away? He's like, oh, I should have gone into like music, like I wanted to, like screw all this.
So. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but the episode is actually really good, and so, you know, so there's a lot of stuff like that.
That's exactly what I was talking about. TW,
yeah, exactly. But it's actually a really good episode, and it was actually really good. But like I said, even though that was a little bit darker and it did paint Batman in more of a serious light, and I think they actually may have even referred to him as the Dark Knight in that episode, actually. It wasn't until Batman the Animated Series that Batman took on a whole new thing. I mean, Batman was in his own world. It wasn't like the rest of the super friends were there. Batman was in his own world. He was tackling stuff that were very serious issues. So it spiritually felt like a successor to Michael Keaton's Batman in the fact that it was that noir kind of atmosphere and kind of over the top. Sometimes there were some things, especially in the early times of it, that came across as maybe even Tim Burton like,
especially like the design of Gotham City and all of that, like very much darker. The aesthetic was very Burton-esque, although it didn't go like to the realm of Batman Returns. Burton-esque.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. But yeah, so it was really interesting going into it because we all thought at first, like as kids, that it was going to be a continuation of Michael Keaton's Batman. Then once we got in there, you could see that it was something different.
Yeah.
But it was still cool and it was on its own. And the thing was we had gotten used to in those 3 years, Batman being more of a serious character. And that appealed to a lot of people. Because I mean, as kids, we hadn't gone out and read The Dark Knight.
Right.
You know what I mean? We didn't know anything about that, So as kids my age, I was on the latter end of ever seeing anything that I was on the latter end of seeing things like, the 60s Batman show and everything.
Yeah.
So everything was really lighthearted. So it just felt like every half-hour episode was like watching a mini movie, and just felt more serious. It felt grounded. And I'll be honest with you, there were some times that as a kid, like I didn't even understand all the stuff that was going on, and I'm just glad that they kept it going because Batman, kind of lost popularity for a minute. And, but then they would do stuff, and that show was just, it was such a great show for our childhood, for those of us who grew up during that time. But I remember, like I said, I would go down to my friend Wayne's house because I wanted to watch it like clearly. I wanted to see it clearly because he had cable at the time and we had gotten rid of our cable for a while. And so like, I just remember we'd go down and watch it every afternoon, and it was an event.
Yeah.
The animation was different. The animation felt different, and it wasn't cutesy or too colorful or.
Well, the fact
whatever.
that they drew all of it on black paper really made all the difference.
Yeah, the Art Deco style.
Yeah, really gave it that dark aesthetic. Whereas if they just had white and then just bleached it with ink, I think it would have come across very differently. And I think like even watching it on HBO Max, there's a graininess to it because again it came out in the 90s and it's unrefined. But there's something to be said about that too. It kind of makes it feel like you're, instead of just watching just a TV show, it makes you feel like you're like looking into the past, like really like in a literal sense.
Yeah.
And I just love that. It gives a sense of grittiness to the city of Gotham in that show.
Yeah. And look, it's spawned. I mean, we're here even right now talking about, gosh, I just had a blank.
Brain fart.
Yeah, what's his name? The reason why we're here.
Kevin Conroy.
Tim
Conroy.
Yeah, Conroy. His voice was what we had been kind of using as what we felt like Batman's voice should be as kids.
Right.
Like when we go around, I remember I had a friend who had a Batman mask because we were going to make our own Batman movie at one point. All of us in the neighborhood, a kid had had one of the old VHS, camcorder things and stuff. And like we had actually written the first few scenes of a Batman movie. And it was really funny because we had fought over who was going to play Batman. And like, of course I wanted to play Batman, but the mask wasn't mine,
Yeah.
And my friend Jake, he wanted to be Batman because the mask was his and he argued stuff. And it's funny, I didn't even argue to even be Batman. All my friends were just like, Enosh needs to play Batman. Enosh needs to play. And Jake was like, no, you can't use my mask then. And it was like, dude, I don't care, but like we actually had to like audition between all of our friends, like for different roles and stuff. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But like when we would do that or we'd play with our toys or whatever, like we always kind of had that gruff voice, and and his voice just lasted the test of time, man. I mean, you look at all the different animated series, the sequels to it, obviously, the Justice League cartoons, that came afterwards, and then all the video games and everything, his voice just became synonymous with Batman.
Yeah, it became to the point where most studios, whenever they're doing anything Batman related, is like, let's see what Kevin Conroy's up to. Let's see what he's doing and if he's available. And not to discredit other Batman voice actors who've done a great job, those people, it feels like it's like, oh well, Kevin's not available. Let's find somebody else then. Yep. He was always the first choice. I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah. He captured it. He understood the character. He got it. I don't think that there was a lot of people who wanted him to play live action and stuff, and I don't know that he really had the. I don't. I know that guy.
You guys know each other.
Yeah. No, I don't know that he had the physical presence to play. I don't know, when he was on Batwoman. It almost kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Well, it was the Crisis event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never really saw him as having the physical appearance of Batman. But I understand. Look, I understand.
As an older Bruce Wayne, it works a little better.
It works a little better, and who knows if we had actually seen him in a costume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because look at Michael Keaton, right? Like, if you just look at Michael Keaton, you wouldn't think, oh, that's Batman,
right?
But it worked.
Yeah, I mean, he was in like the Kingdom Come-ish kind of battle armor that helped him walk. I think, right? Yeah.
Where he was braced and he was very
right.
It was very Dark Knight Returns-esque of how he talked about being Batman. He was very bitter. I thought it was fascinating how that happened, to where the first time he's ever
pissed.
Yeah, how he's live action Batman and he's a bitter and beaten Batman. It's like, you know what? I mean, Kevin Conroy's Kevin Conroy's on record saying his favorite interpretation of Batman in live action is Ben Affleck. So I mean, it makes sense that he would go that direction. Or obviously, he probably didn't have a whole lot of say in the direction of the story, but it makes sense that would be one that he did. You know, and again, it just kind of matches a lot with the character. I mean, he's a dark character, psychologically interesting character, and if he breaks, then it's terrifying. I mean, it's why there's a reason why the Justice League freaks out when they figure out that Batman has contingency plans for all of them, because if anyone's going to have a contingency plan against you, you don't want it to be Batman, because that's terrifying. Because if he were to do it, he'd mess you up, because Batman he can be unhinged.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of my favorite Kevin Conroy outings as Batman was Justice League Doom, right? Because even at the end of it, the end of the movie, when they all kind of have that gathering, the rest of the Justice League kind of decides whether or not they want to keep Batman in the Justice League, and he's like, look, if you can't see the dangers of you guys when you're unhinged essentially, then I quit. I don't need to be here.
Yeah. Or he says, I clearly don't belong here, and then he just leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that's always fantastic. I always love that.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And I think, kind of like talking to your point, Enosh, about the whole era of the early 90s of Batman and how everything was just Batman centered all over the place. I feel like if you're a Batman fan, you tend to fall into one of two camps. You either became a Batman fan in the early 90s, late 80s because of Batman 89 or Batman the Animated Series, or because the Dark Knight trilogy in the late 2000s, early 2010s. It's usually one of two, unless you were able to watch Adam West back in the day. But most people nowadays tend to fall into one of those two camps. And so it's crazy how there's been different eras of Batman, and Kevin Conroy was instrumental in one of the main eras. In fact, I'd even say the main era of Batman. Kevin Conroy was the Batman.
Yeah. Oh, for a long time, that was the Batman that we had look,
Frank, get out of here. I've said it like Namer my entire life, so you can get out of here.
Oh, you say Namer?
That's just how I've always said it, and that's how I've heard it. And Frank's like freaking, he's like blowing a gasket.
You say Namer?
I haven't even seen the movie yet, so I don't even know how it's pronounced there.
Well, in the movie they pronounce it Namor, so it's like no love, like no amor.
How do they pronounce it in the movie?
Namor.
Dear God, it's Namor. It's Namor. I mean, how hard is it?
Namor.
Yeah. I just always call it Namer, so like Frank's just
Namer. I'm sorry. Oh man, it's so easy to fall just right back into our old our old times together, and me just giving you a hard time on the Sunday podcast. That's Namer right there. That guy come up out of the water, man, one day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is his name?" He's like, Namor. I'm like, Namer, I just met you. I just met her. I barely knew her. Well, I'm gonna name her.
Oh my
I thought that
gosh.
was his girlfriend, but apparently not. No, his name's Namer. He's okay. He doesn't hang out with my family, and he likes Mama's cornbread, so we're good.
And by the way, Frank, this one's for you.
That's dumb. You're dumb.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And yeah, Frank, again, I don't care. I don't read enough Namer comics to care enough. So
I didn't know Namer had comics. I know
I
a
was gonna say
Namor that's got
Namer.
comics.
I'm just gonna say Namer to piss you off, Frank. That's what I'm
Namer.
gonna do.
Namor was actually the first Marvel character
Oh.
created, if I'm
Oh,
not
then.
mistaken. Yeah.
What's
Is
Magic
it
Ball
is
gonna
it
say?
okay that Dawson pronounces it Namer?
I don't care.
Um,
What's funny is that Frank's
as I
the
see
only
it,
one-
yes.
Like Frank's
So the
the only
Magic 8
one that
Ball
I've
that-
seen that has a major problem with it. I mean, Enosh, like, yes, you're saying how you feel like it's pronounced now. You've heard it your whole life, and that's great. But like Frank's the one that's been like, oh my gosh, oh, so stupid. So eat grass, Frank. Oh man. Anyways, totally getting off topic there. We're talking about fish people. We're talking about Batman.
Fish people.
People in the sea.
That's
Kevin
racist.
Conroy was a fishman in He-Man
That's-
Master of the Universe Revelations. He was Merman.
That's racist. Fish.
It's
people.
fishist.
That's a little fishy.
Fishist.
Fish
I'm their fish people.
people. Gosh. I don't think that's quite the same type of mistake.
That's how it looks. Piopal.
Killing me.
Piopal.
And then Bologna.
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 My Bologna.
My Bologna don't want no.
Wait, hold on, what? That's a totally different song.
I know.
Your Bologna don't want none unless you got what? Buns?
I mean, bologna sandwich.
Or just
Wheat
some
bread? White
Some
bread? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some bread.
We're totally getting off track here.
Have
Yeah,
you
we
seen the
are.
Weird Al movie, by the way?
Not yet.
The Daniel Radcliffe one? No, but I've heard good things.
Fantastic. you say.
Fantastic
Okay.
in every way. Look, it was such a great movie. If you're a Weird Al fan and you know it, I'm a serious Weird Al fan, right? Like I know a lot of the deeper stuff. That's why I actually wanted a serious biopic on Weird Al. I get why they did what they did now, and it's fine. It's
Sure.
actually great. I mean, it's classic Weird Al form. It's basically Weird Al doing a parody of a biopic, right? I mean, it is what it is. And
Like nothing in the movie actually happened.
yeah, I mean, like actually, some of it has like
Some truth. yes.
Through lines
some
of it
little
are probably
truth, but then they go like
yeah.
his parents are portrayed completely different than what his parents were. His parents were always super supportive of him.
And he like
wonderful
dates
people.
Madonna in the movie.
Yeah, he dates
and-
Madonna in this movie, and like Madonna has this secret thing where she just wants like Weird Al to like make parodies of all her songs so that it can boost her popularity. Right, and like in this movie, like Weird Al like hit it big, and like he's like the talk of the town, like everybody wants him, and he's an alcoholic, and he literally goes out on stage and does the whole what's his name from the Doors, Morrison,
Jim
Yeah,
Morrison.
Jim Morrison. He goes for some reason I had Van Morrison stuck in my head, and it was like that's not it. Jim Morrison, like remember when he went on stage and he ended up getting arrested for indecent exposure. Because like he was on stage, he's like, "Girl, you want to see it?" You know, and stuff all that. So Weird Al goes, Daniel Radcliffe comes out on stage and he's like, "You girl, you want to see it?" And he's got like a bottle of Jack in his hand and stuff, and he's singing his song and everything. He's like going on, and they're playing music in the background that sounds like the Doors,
Okay.
which is great. And he's just out there. He's like, "You want to see it?" And then somebody brings it out, and he's talking about his accordion. And the police come and arrest him for indecency. It's just, it's hilarious in every way, and it just beautifully done. But I would still love to see them do a serious something on Weird Al, because he's just so great and has such a great history with what he's actually accomplished and actually done, and his band and all that stuff. We've had that conversation many times, but that movie though, man, it's so good. There's like all kinds of little inside jokes that, you know, there's one scene where he goes to it's not the Playboy Mansion, but it's like maybe it is the Playboy Mansion actually. And he goes and like they're at the grotto, and like there's this pool party, and like all these celebrities are there, right? But it's all different actors as these celebrities. So like Jack Black is there as Wolfman Jack, the old DJ guy, and so he's there, and then you know the Lonely Island.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yorma guy, he plays Pee Wee Herman. He's there, and like there's all these there's a guy there as Alice Cooper. There's like all these people, and it's so funny, man. It really is funny.
Did they at least at some point in the movie have him walk into a hardware store?
No.
His song "The Hardware Store"?
Yeah, but that wasn't a huge hit for him.
I know, but like I thought it would be
Hardware
funny.
Store's a great song, but yeah.
I would love that.
And that's a recent song too, though. This all takes place in. This is all supposed to take place in early. It basically kind of takes place up to the point where he wrote, Like a Surgeon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all supposed to be like. I don't know if it's a spoiler alert or not, but basically it ends. It ends with him supposedly having been killed. Yeah. It's
That's like a Monty Python type of ending.
It is.
Yeah.
It and that's just it exactly. And plus they put like weird out. You know how like at the end of biopics they'll put like pictures from the actual era of stuff that happened. You know, like to show the actual people.
Yeah.
So they put pictures of They put Weird Al's face on pictures of like stuff that never happened that Weird Al did. Like so in the movie you have Daniel Radcliffe like drinking a bottle of Jack on stage doing that, and so then later it shows like the real Weird Al's face superimposed on a body like with him with a bottle of Jack, and yeah, it's a great movie.
Wow.
It's a great movie.
That's certainly
Yeah.
something.
Yes, it is. It's definitely worth seeing, and like I said,
It's streaming, right? Is it?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
on
it's on the
it's
Roku
free on the
channel.
Roku channel. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for him. I'm glad for him, man. Although, like, you could tell, like, a lot of news outlets don't know that much about Weird Al sometimes because, like, they're like, oh, you know, it was cool to finally, you know, to see a Weird Al movie. Imagine that. Something never seen before. It's like, are we just going to act like UHF didn't happen? Because UHF is a great movie in and of itself, man.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, talking about Batman, it went against Batman in '89 and totally got destroyed by Batman and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and Ghostbusters 2 and
That's rough.
1989 was a huge year for movies though. So
I mean, the 80s and 90s, honestly, as far as movies are concerned, I'm envious of people who were able to like go to theater during those times, like and all those different movies that came out. It's, man, what a time. What a time. Ah, man.
Yep.
yeah,
What a time.
the guy's gonna be missed, man. He
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
really
he
great.
had an impact on all three of us, on a lot of people in our circles. It's really unfortunate. 66, too young.
Batman in general, man. Batman in general, you know. But yeah, still yet to this day.
I wonder like how if every like Batman project from here on out is gonna have like a little tribute to Kevin Conroy at the end. I'd imagine they'd at least think about that, like for most Batman related projects, you know.
Some animated projects, maybe. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or even just like Easter eggs in films, like the Conroy clothing store or something like that. That's my guess.
Yeah. No, that'd be good. That'd be tasteful. But who knows? We shall have to see.
Indeed.
We shall have to
Yeah,
see.
maybe, yeah, it'd be nice to maybe like in the Batman movie, you know,
Yeah.
as Batman's mowing down some pedestrians. You know,
I fucking knew it. I knew it.
There's like a
I
sign,
knew it.
Conroy's clothing right there. Here, will this make you happy? Hold on a second. Here,
Mowing down pedestrians.
look
Oh,
at
that's a solid hat.
how's that?
I like
Okay?
that.
Or maybe he
Show-
jumps. Maybe he drives on top of a rooftop, and it's Conroy Industries. How about
I mean
that?
that's just as bad, but I mean at least he's not killing people. Jeez.
If he's going on rooftops crumble, and if those rooftops crumble and people are inside, I'm gonna assume those people are dying.
And
Come
if it's
on,
at
you're
nighttime, they're probably sleeping, so the police can collapse on them in bed.
Wasn't it? It was like a church or something, wasn't it? It wasn't like a regular house.
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah,
what
no,
it
it's
was.
not. No, because he jumps off of a parking garage downtown, and I think it's like on top of a church, and he's like doing sideways and stuff on the shingles and stuff that are coming down.
We're talking
tiles or
about
whatever.
like Batman Begins now, right? Is that what
Yeah.
we're talking about?
Well, was it Batman Begins or was
It was
it?
Batman Begins. Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Was
when
it
they
Batman
introduced the
Begins or was
Tumblr.
it Batman or was it The Dark
No.
Knight?
Batman Begins. Dark Knight is when he's chasing the Joker.
That's right,
Yeah,
because
in the tunnel.
because it is Batman Begins because he gets in the little thing. He's like,
Right.
Yep. And it's like super awkward and like
yeah, it's
stiff.
like what's going on here? I don't know what's really going on.
Then again, that's a lot of stuff with Christian Bale. It's just like very awkward and stiff. Just like
Yeah. Almost as stiff as Michael Keaton's Batman. but-
Well, I had a joke there, but I won't do it.
Yeah, let's not. Let's
Like
not do
Like
that.
Dawson on his wedding night.
What did I just say? What did I just say? Like, I thought we weren't
I'm never
gonna go
coming
there.
back to the 4Nerds Network ever again. Thank you. It was fun while it lasted, folks. But you know,
Oh, my God.
that's
Booted.
it.
I have the red button right here.
That's what she said. Can you
That's-
maybe explain to me this one thing though? Because I really like this hat, right? And it's kind of like this pleather and it's like raised, you know, and that looks really cool, right? And then it's got like this thing on the side.
Yeah, Jim Lee's art. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool and stuff. But I'm trying to figure out why the back is orange and the bill is orange.
Oh, it's orange.
Yeah, I know it's hard to tell on this, but like that's red.
Hmm.
That's red, but the button is orange. And you can really tell like here it's bright orange. Like it's not I know it's really hard to tell on the screen because even I can't really see it on the screen, but like it's bright orange, like Halloween orange. That's Halloween orange. You can kind of tell a little bit better there, like the contrast. See right there with the red down there.
Yeah,
it's bright orange, and so is under the bill. That's orange.
Well, I mean the Batman I think was originally supposed to release on Halloween or around Halloween, and it's
October 2021.
I mean it's based around the concept of the long Halloween graphic novels, so I mean that kind of makes sense as to why.
Yeah, I guess I guess so.
But I don't know. That's a reason that I can think of. But
yeah. Oh well. I mean, but yeah. Yeah, it would be nice though to see maybe something in the Batman too. You know. Like as a
or even a DCEU film, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how far they want to take that. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen many like Adam West nods.
Well, especially with some of the inspiration that goes into some of the Batman suit, especially the cowl. So,
like one of the designers even mentioned that the cowl is a little reminiscent of the Adam West cowl a little bit.
Which I still think it's funny that people freaked out when people said that at first. I mean, I was kind of weirded out because I was like, hold on, how's this going to work? But now you look at it as like, okay, yeah, I see what they were talking about, but it's very subtle to the point where like it's not over the top.
Well, I mean, Matt Reeves, like before he even made the movie, he posted a picture of himself, or not of himself, but he like posted a picture of like, you know, all the mannequins and stuff, and like the 66. Like he was like, as he was writing the movie, he was like looking at all the 66 stuff, and then you watch the movie and he's got all 4 of the villains from the original 66 movie. He's got Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, and Joker in the movie. So
yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point actually. I
wonder if they're gonna have an extended version with that Joker scene.
And you know, it's pretty clear where that scene is too.
Yeah.
It's literally right after Commissioner Savage dies, and right before he goes and meets Gordon on the rooftop for where the bat signal is. It's literally in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. What?
The 5-minute Joker scene they cut out of the movie where he interrogates the Joker and trying to figure out who the Riddler is. Oh. It's slotted right after Savage dies and right before he meets Gordon on the rooftop where the bat signal is.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay. Well, yeah. Am I the only one that I really don't like that look for Joker?
I think
you're not the only one. I've seen that sentiment echoed a couple different places.
I like the idea behind it. I'm not a huge fan of how big like his teeth are, or like how. I mean, I think again, I like the approach. Maybe they'll alter it a little bit for the next, appearance of his Joker. I like the whole distorted, little like losing hair, destroyed fingers kind of thing. So I like elements of it, but I'm not a huge fan of the whole thing. I'm kind of with you there.
You know what it just kind of reminds me of, and just like maybe not necessarily in maybe not necessarily like, I'm not saying that it's like 1-to-1, like, it just reminds me of it, but like on Gotham, I really hated with what they did with Joker with the thinning hair and I get it. It's like if you fell in a vat of acid and all that, all that stuff. But I mean, like, it just, I just don't want them to go. I know,
like too disfigured,
too disfigured, or like where it just kind of takes you out of it and you're not really. I think that might actually be one of the things that actually probably worked in Heath Ledger's favor.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, that there wasn't a lot of craziness distracting. I mean, yeah, he had the scars, but it was something that was very real world and very like, okay, you can imagine somebody surviving
It was
that,
simple.
yeah, and simple
Sure.
and whatnot. You know, it didn't have to go way over the top. You know, I don't know, man. You know, it's just, I don't know. You know, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah.
You know
For sure.
what that next installment brings us. You know, what? Let me ask you, especially Phil. I don't think I've talked to you much about this. Are you a fan of the Joker movie?
I like it as a movie.
Yeah.
But as like an adaptation of a character that I love, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I truly think just on a cinematic level, technical level, score, acting, great movie.
Yes.
When you want to talk about it being like a comic book movie, it's not that at all. And
I see it as more of like a dark DC Black Label book
sure, yeah,
that you can keep away from everything else and just have it by itself.
right.
Yeah.
But even in like, if you're even trying to be traditional about it, or you want something more traditional, I don't think you're going to get that from that film at all. And I'm very curious to see what that second film is going to look like with, you know, what does that version of Harley Quinn look like? Who else is going to show up in this movie? What kind of story are they telling? And apparently it's a musical. I honestly have no
musical
clue.
elements. Hopefully it's not the full thing, but
I just so that the first movie, I really liked the first movie. I think that it's a very strong film, like you said. Did you ever watch The King of Comedy?
Yeah.
I've only seen Taxi Driver, but I know The King of Comedy was an influence on it.
Yeah, so I watched The King of Comedy before it came out, before the Joker came out, right?
Okay.
And a lot of elements that are very, very similar in there, very much borrowed from it. You can see those elements really well. It makes a lot of sense. I love the movie as a movie.
Yeah.
As a Batman fan or a fan of the Joker and that world that it's supposedly connected to, it ticks me off. It's I go from like loving this movie because, like you said, it's well acted, it's well written, it's well put together. It's a dive into the imaginations of a psychopath, you know, crazy person or whatever. It's got the twist, like what happened, what didn't happen. It's got all those great elements of a film, but he's not the Joker.
Right.
He's a Joker, but he's not the Joker.
Yeah, and it bugs me, and it really does bug me because I've seen so many people, and I don't know if it's just a backlash because so many people wanted to hate on Jared Leto, you know, that like, oh yeah, look, this is the Joker. No, it's not.
It's really not.
It's really not the Joker. I'm sorry, but that guy is not a mastermind villain, and like I don't even know how Batman would ever even like if they wanted to come out and say, well, this is an Elseworld, and I know we all look at it because we're smart. Okay, I get it that we're all smart enough to understand it, but the general public isn't.
Right.
True.
Honestly, the general public doesn't understand the nerd aspect of it like we do. Like where we've read these books, we understand what a Black Label book is, right?
Yeah.
Like the general movie going person doesn't understand what that means, that it's an Elseworld. That you can say Elseworld, like what is Elseworld, right? They just look at you with blank stares. So my problem is that Batman's 10 and 9, whatever it is, and now I'm sorry, they're introducing Harley Quinn in it with
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, and I know people love Lady Gaga. I know that she can act, but the problem is that I don't look at Harley Quinn as something that should be acted by probably a middle-aged, you know, that far down. I mean, how old is Lady Gaga?
So Joaquin's 48, 49, and I think she's like 35, 36.
She's got to be older than that.
I think she's in her late 30s.
Hold on a second. Hey Siri, how old is Lady Gaga?
36.
36. That's insane. Because I'll be honest with you, she comes across as much older than that to me.
I can agree. Yeah.
I don't look at her as a younger woman kind of character. When I think of Harley Quinn, I think of, and it's not just because of Margot Robbie, I just think of somebody who's got a lot more spirit and energy and youthfulness to her. even though I get it that she was a psychologist and and doctor and all this, I get all that, but that's what the transition, that's what the difference is,
Yeah.
And I just don't see Lady Gaga pulling that off. And I mean, everybody knows what a big fan of Harley Quinn my wife Tiffany is, and Tiffany is just disgusted. Tiffany is just like beyond disgusted with the Lady Gaga thing. She's like when I first told her, she's like, I want to throw up in my mouth a little bit, like just. Yeah, she's just not happy about it. So, what's up, Edits? Good to see you, man.
Hey,
man.
So I don't know what that movie's going to be, man. When they're talking about
That's a big question mark for me,
musical
for sure.
elements and all this stuff, and my concern is they're gonna go too far and then try to enter Batman elements into it, and who knows what's going to happen with it?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
just a big question mark for me. But Phil, I think you wanted to close up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
I got stuff I got to do. I got plans, but it was a lot of fun chatting with you guys.
Thank
about
you guys for inviting me.
Kevin
Thank you,
Conroy.
Phil.
Yeah,
Of course,
It's been a
I will
while.
try and be harder. I will try harder to be on any of your streams.
That was Dawson on that.
No,
I will try.
I will try. I will try. No, we got to do this again sometime. Absolutely.
Just work stiff, man.
Yeah.
gosh dang it.
Oh man.
Oh, but I guess to summarize, Kevin Conroy will be missed. Absolutely.
Yes.
What a legend. Defined Batman for so many people. And, we'll see how they pay tribute to him, what things we've done in the future, and grateful for the past.
Absolutely.
I'll say that.
Absolutely.
And
Legend.
with that, go and check out all the people on the 4Nerds Network. Go follow them on social medias. Yes, Twitter still hates Anthony. Be sure to go check that out. Also, be sure to go check out the latest prints we have on the DJW Arts store, djwart.net. I just put a new Batman animated series inspired piece up there, so you guys can go check that out.
Looks fantastic. by the
I
way.
appreciate that. And Phil, thanks so much for this idea. It was a great idea to do the stream and build it after work. It was just a great time, man. Well done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By all means, check out Enosh's channel too. Point
Of course. Point Extra
I
Lounge.
still got a channel. Occasionally. No,
Yeah, because
I'm-
you just had a stream recently that I was finally able to jump on.
Right.
So you have more reasons to go check it out.
Heck yeah. I did take a little bit of time off, so I know I've taken the jokes like from people like, are you ever coming back? And I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah.
we are. So
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, go read a good book, go watch a good movie, go enjoy the stuff you love with the ones that you love, and we will see you guys next time.